of being President of the General Assembly of the United Nations at its 74th session.
Good day, everyone. We'll start in a bit. Welcome to our first IMF Congress, Day Zero. So, yeah, let's enjoy. Hope this will be a very productive session. We will start in a bit. Okay, so good day, everyone. Welcome to our first IMF Congress. I see Pedro, our IMF founder. I see a lot of familiar faces, fellows. Good day. Hope everyone is safe. So finally, we're here in opening our IMF Congress and looking forward to our discussions today. We expect a lot of exchange, discussions, all about IMF. So yeah, without further ado, I'd like to turn it over to our IMF founder, Pedro, to open our officially open our IMF Congress.
Thank you, Mark. I must congratulate you for this event.
Yes.
You have
Well,
worked very hard, and it is really as all the effects. No, I am extremely happy with all of you, all the fellows. No, and needless to say, because we have already talked about that many times, this is a new discipline. This is a new way of thinking, and you are the avant-garde of that new way of thinking. You know, I was 25 years ago, but I'm not anymore. It's up to you now to take the baton and go ahead. No, you are that avant-garde. No, and this discipline, this knowledge, this way of thinking can brand yourself. It has done that for me. It's an American sentence that I much know. Is brand yourself, that people will recognize you for something special, to which you are excellent, you are outstanding, you are groundbreaking, you are spearheading, no? Something that will make of you someone significant. And it is well, if you want in tactical terms, not in strategic terms, in tactical terms, I have made a living in the last 30 years, 40 years out of that branding. So I suggest that you brand yourself as well by becoming a metropolitan specialist, and people will recognize you, and even if they don't know really what you can do, they will realize that metropolises are more and more important every day, that sooner or later that kind of specialist, and they will think of you, and you never know when that will happen, but it will. No, uh, it is like being in the center of a dark room with no light, and you don't see the walls, but you have to throw tennis balls all around, and many of those tennis balls will come to you because the wall was perpendicular, and it comes to you, and many more than the ones that come back to you will be lost because you have not seen the wall and you don't know where you have thrown the ball. But it is worth it, not because of the intellectual uh, activity and the pleasure of it, but it is worth it even in professional terms, no? And that's a part of from making a difference in the world, no? Because the world will be different after you have acted in this kind of size. It's not making a bicycle path in one neighborhood, which is great, but that doesn't change the world. But when you are really deciding where an airport has to be or where a train has to be, really decide you are affecting lives of 7 or 20 million people, which are the size of that kind of metropolis. Well, in the we are professionals, we are academics, we are civil servants, we are politicians. And apart from serving the discipline, uh, each of us has to do what he knows best. No? And I would say that the academics have to do research and have to educate. As a matter of fact, Claudia Canedo from Santa Cruz in Bolivia is actually doing a research on metropolitan governance, and we are working together. We are following that, and obviously that kind of research is to be made by academics, and they have to educate. Civil servants have to serve the best they can their citizens. They are there to serve the citizens. The politicians, they should make the decisions with knowledge, which rarely happens in terms of metropolitan management and planning. So knowledge for them is essential, and the network can give them that knowledge. And professionals have to implement those decisions made by politicians and civil servants, because our size is more public than private. We are really working in a public dimension, because the private initiative does not work in a whole metropolis of 7 or 20 million people. No? So we are there as professionals to implement the decisions made by the administration, by the politicians, and then out of that we will get the prestige of having done those commissions, those projects, and it helps for the future developments. That curriculum of increased prestige works out in the future, in the long term. No? So out of these four categories of people, and maybe more, but linked to those four, we are a network, and our role as a network is really to connect, to convey, to share, and to develop. Apart from these specific roles of the different members, we have as a group those that other role of convey, share, and divulgate. No, and that's not only for the benefit of the discipline. Obviously, our work, our connections, our spread of the knowledge will benefit the discipline, and it will benefit as well our own cities, our own metropolises. And I was talking to Amir some days ago, the leader of the Central Asian chapter, and we were discussing that how our group can help countries to develop their metropolis right. No? But apart from benefiting the discipline and benefiting our cities, it has to benefit ourselves, yourself. No, it has to be a knowledge that will position you in the professional field, and that will make you more relevant. And so the administrations, whenever they will need something on metropolis, will think of you, and you have to link your name to the metropolitan dimension. No? Well, with this message, which is a very simple message, I want to, as I started, I want to congratulate Mark. Mark, our present president. He's doing a great job, and he's organizing this Congress, which is the first Congress of this kind in the world. So we have already a brand. We have branded ourselves as the World Metropolitan Congress, and no one else has done before. And let me know that someone that is going to talk next week, Gabriele Lanfranchi, is the creator of the Metropolitan Day. Gabriele Lanfranchi, 4 years ago, I think, he mentioned that in MIT in Boston, I want to organize a Metropolitan Day, and he has achieved that. He has had success, and I would like to give him an honorary fellowship to Gabriel, and he will talk next week. No, so by branding, covering the market, this area, really we are doing something. We are spearheading a knowledge worldwide, no, and this is very, very important. So I will spend with you all the time I have, and I will be today all time with you, other days as well. And it will be a pleasure for me to talk with you next, to talk to you next week about specific issue management, finance, governance, and competences, which is something that it has not been defined yet, and we as a group have to define, because those are the tools that will help to develop and manage the metropolis. I am very happy to be here with you. Congratulations to Mark. Congratulations to all of you. Brand yourself, and let me join you in the success of each and every one of you.
Thank you so much, Pedro. Thank you for your words and your wisdom, as usual. So, as Pedro mentioned, this is really the first Congress, and looking forward for more. On this day zero, this is, as mentioned to you guys, this is exclusive to fellows, because the focus really is to strengthen our organization, the IMF. So today, we'll go through a series of presentations from the different chapters. We've had previously done some pre-tactical planning sessions. We've also met with, we've also started the different task forces. And so today, we'd like to further that by really focusing on what can we do as a chapter in the next 3, 6, 9 months. And then closing this session, we will now open it to the public starting October 16, 23, and 30, as Pedro mentioned earlier, where we'll really have a distinguished guest who will be presenting about the metropolitan planning. So without further ado, I'd like to already start the presentations. So as you can see in your screen, we'll run down the different chapters, starting from the IMF Latin America chapter, where Fatima Lara will be presenting. Austronesia chapter, currently the host of this Day Zero, will be presented by Mertz Certifico. The Sub-Sahara chapter will be presented by Lufuenque Babalola. Central Asia by Amir. India chapter by Marival Ani Calsilvan, and Arabia chapter by Lama. So yeah, without further ado, let's start this. Let's get the ball rolling. So each of the presenters will have 20 minutes to share, and then we'll have time for questions and answers. And then hopefully when everyone is presented, we'll have a synthesis and really have a practical list of things that we should be doing within the chapter and moving forward in the next days to come. So I can see Fatima is already here. Fatima, can you hear me? So we'll start off with the Latin America chapter. One of the youngest, according to Milena, no, one of the youngest fellow that we have. So I'm glad to have you here. Fatima, can you hear me? So anyway, they have prepared a presentation. We have anticipated the challenges in the internet. So we will be presenting their prepared pre-recorded presentation. Iesa, are you able to share the pre-recorded presentation that the Latin America has prepared? So while they are okay, so this is a very insightful presentation. Hopefully, we can capture what the chapter of Latin America is about and the opportunities and challenges. So, yes, yeah, you can turn on the video. Hope everyone enjoys this. Thank you.
Hello, welcome to the World Metropolitan Day. For the first International Metropolitan Fellowship, Fatima Bravo-Lara, Alberto Laveaga, and myself, Rashid Garcia, will bring you the Latin American chapter. This presentation is mainly about Mexico and the Tren Maya project, and is structured in 4 different parts. First, Mexico in the international context, a brief overview. Then, the Tren Maya, and we will expand why it's more than an infrastructure project, the metropolitan approach, and then conclusions. For the first part, Mexico in the international context, Alberto Laveaga will present you.
Mexico in the international context. A brief overview of Mexico. Mexico is in the center of the American continent. It's between the Pacific and the Atlantic Ocean at the Gulf of Mexico. The Mexican territory is 1.9 million square kilometers. The population is more than 127 million of people. His neighbors are at the north with the United States of America and Guatemala and Belize at the southeast. Mexico is part of Latin America region, and with a gross domestic product of $1.15 trillion, Mexico is the 15th economy in the world. Talking about infrastructure, Mexico has a 20.4 thousand kilometers railway network. Compared within an American ranking, Mexico is below USA that has more than 300,000 kilometers. Canada has 79,000, Argentina 73, Brazil 41, and then Mexico. But if we generate an index, let's say kilometer per 100,000 inhabitants, Mexico is in the middle of the table with too much room for expansion. Mexico is a land of contrast and has states and regions markedly more developed than others. The regions near the USA border have been benefited with assembly industrial corridors articulated by trade. As it was said before, the GDP is $1.15 trillion worth, and the most important metropolitan areas are Mexico City, Guadalajara, and Monterrey, representing 33% of the GDP, but only with 18% of the population. The GDP per capita fluctuates from $2,300 and $27,600, and the median is $7,000 and $600. In the South, the economy is based mainly on primary sector. The lack of infrastructure is an issue at this matter. Tourism and logistics have the potential in order to be accountable. The exports by transportation mode, the participation of Mexico in international trade is 2.5% of the global export. That amount represents 47.6 of the Mexican GDP, almost a half of its total product. The main transport mode is by road, with an average of 63% of the total exports, showing that Mexico is a grounded country. The next transportation mode is by sea, with 19% of the exports. And if Mexico has more than 11,000 kilometers of coast, it's evident that is needed more investment in specialized infrastructure. The railroad mode only contributes with 13%, and finally, by air with a marginal 4.7%. The air connectivity in the year of 2019, more than 100 million passengers flew from and to Mexico. The main airports at Mexico City with a flow of almost 22 million passengers, followed by Cancun Airport with 12 million, Guadalajara, Tijuana, Monterrey, Los Cabos, Puerto Vallarta, Guanajuato, Culiacán, and Mérida in the peninsula area. The main flow of passengers was from USA and Canada with 75%. In seaports, the Mexican maritime trade is basically shipped in 4 ports, Manzanillo and Lázaro Cárdenas in the west coast, and Veracruz and Altamira in the east, totaling 4.5 million of containers with a $90 million worth. There are some ports in a minor scale that could be upgraded, like Progreso and Ensenada. And in railways, the railway system is at 20,000 kilometers running from north to south with an acceptable coverage of the territory. And the expectative is to grow and to be integrated with USA and Canada and with Central and South America in a near future. Now Fatima will present us Tren Maya.
So thank you, Alberto. And yes, let's talk about the Tren Maya. The Tren Maya is more than just an infrastructure project. And here, first, I would like to have like a common ground on what we understand when we talk about the Tren Maya. What is the Tren Maya? So the Tren Maya is an infrastructure and socioeconomic development project. It seeks to improve the quality of life and well-being throughout greater connectivity and access to new opportunities. It will go through 1,500 kilometers approximately and will cross 5 states. Here we have the states of Chiapas, Tabasco, Campeche, Yucatan, and Quintana Roo. And so far there are being considered 21 stations and 14 stops. Some of them in important cities in the southeastern region like Mérida, Cancun, Chetumal, and Campeche. So what are the main services that the Tren Maya will offer? Like most people think the main objective of this project is tourism, to transport tourists throughout the peninsula, and it is one of the services, but the other 2 are also very important. So the 3 main services are going to be freight, that we mean transporting goods, commuting, meaning that local population will be able to transport to a different price rate than tourists, and finally tourism. So here we have like a map. Here the Tren Maya has been divided in 7 sections. The first one goes from Palenque to Escárcega, the second one from Escárcega to Calquiní, the third one from Calquiní to Izamal, and these 3 sections have already a railway. They have already a rail track and rail track history. And the other 4 sections are from Izamal to Cancun, from Cancun to Tulum, from Tulum to Chetumal, and from Chetumal back to Escárcega. So something that it's something that it's important to understand is that most of the railway line passes through existing rights of way. I mean railways or highways or electricity transmission lines, meaning that all this area has already been impacted by human activity. So why does such a project take place? Why does it make sense to have a Tren Maya in the region? So the Tren Maya has 4 main axes, being the economic, the social, the cultural, and the environmental. So economic axis, why does it make sense in the economic aspect to have a train in this region? Well, from the whole country, here we have a map of the country where we have the poverty stratum by 2016, and we can see a clear division between the northern part, like Alberto already mentioned it before. Like we have a difference, like the northern part has a lower poverty stratum as the southeastern, where just Quintana Roo is on a medium stratum. But for example, Chiapas is one of the most extreme ones. And something very interesting is that in this region, from the 5 states, just one lives from tourism and the other 4 live from agriculture, meaning there's a lot of potential in the agricultural sector. But it's also very interesting. For example, something that we mention often is that if someone is drinking an orange juice in Quintana Roo, in Cancun, for example, it's more likely that the oranges come from the US, from Florida, than they come from Chiapas, for example. So here there is a lot of opportunity for agri-food and agri-industrial sectors. So then we go to the social axis, like what's going on here in the peninsula. So in the 5 states, we have right now, like, okay, this is from a census in 2015. According to UN Habitat estimations, by 2030, there will be 17.3 million people. And what does this mean, or what does this imply in terms of planification? For example, here we have two big cities, like in this area. Mérida is in the state of Yucatan, and Tulum is in the state of Quintana Roo. And we can see how the cities have grown so much in just 2 decades. For example, Mérida, you can see how it has consolidated and grown. And the same happens, I think, in Tulum. It's even a bit more extreme. You can see all these areas that were not urbanized. So there is being right now a lot of development, but it's not planned. So this project gives some light on this area, and we'll talk about it in a few seconds. So the environmental axis, why does it make sense to have a train in terms of environment? Well, I have divided this into sections, like the existing conditions and the future conditions. Like, for example, right now, as I said, most of the train goes through existing either railroads or highways or electric lines. It's most of the project, and therefore we don't have, for example, these wildlife crossings or these elements that help not only wildlife but also people and population cross from one side of the highway to the other. So there are a lot of wildlife being killed every month because they try to cross and cars just pass through. So this is one of the mitigation from previous projects and previous impacts. Like, this is not being generated by the project, but the project seeks to compensate these previous impacts. And as we mentioned it before, the land use planning, like these areas, for example, when we have a highway, the whole highway has an opportunity to develop. For example, here in Mexico, it's very common that when we have a highway, suddenly there appears a store in the middle of nowhere, and then in a few meters you have another store for cars, and you start getting a lot of development in this area, but it's not necessary plan. So what happens when you have a train and you have stations? When you have already a station determined, development goes around this station, and it doesn't go throughout the whole trail or line, but it's focused in an area. So that's something very positive for the planning of land use. Now, in the future conditions, like we already mentioned, like trains have a lot of benefits. For example, it has greater capacity than trucks or than normal cars. They have a lower accident rate. They are more efficient due to the fact that they can carry more weight with less energy, and they have less CO2 emissions than, for example, an airplane. So these are like some of the elements that make sense. Why is it better a train than, for example, growing a bigger highway? And also, like half of the 43% of the train is considered to be electric. And the other part is considered to be hybrid, meaning it's half diesel and half electric. So it's also being planted in a future. It's completely electric. So all of this is with a planning approach, thinking of the future, not in the present moment, but also in the future. Now let's go to the cultural axis, because we have to remember it's a Tren Maya. Why Maya? Because it's in the Mayan area, where we have still a lot of population, of Mayan population and other indigenous communities. And we also have a lot of culture in this area, naturally related with these cultures. For example, like I pictured here in this map some of UNESCO's World Heritage just in this area. Like, for example, Palenque is the archaeological site and the natural protected area. Campeche is a historic fortified city. We have also Uxmal, that is the archaeological site, as well as Chichen Itza. We have the natural area of Siancan and Calakmul, that is a biosphere reserve. So we have a lot of culture that not many people have access. We have to understand that in the peninsula, it's very expensive and it takes a lot of time to go from one area to the other. For example, if you want to go from Palenque to Cancun, you will probably have to take 2 or 3 buses because there is no direct connection. So one project with this characteristics gives the opportunity to have access to all the population to this area, not only tourists, but also the local population. And there's also like something interesting is we're working with UNESCO, and also with the National Institute of Anthropology and History. And the Safeguard project is the biggest safeguard project being developed since the metro in Mexico City was made ago. So it's one of the biggest safeguard process being held in the history of the country. So finally, we're going to the stations. Like we mentioned before, having a station allows you to have development around this is particular station and not throughout the whole line or the whole area. So, for example, here we have a Palenque station. The idea is to use local materials to take advantage of light. Here we also have Boca del Cerro in Tabasco. So we have all these very modern but very integrated stations seeking to have these sustainable communities. That these stations become the beginning of a sustainable community. So what are these sustainable communities? These are the polygons in the area of direct influence of the Tren Maya. They are a territorial management model that seeks to control the activity and investment in order to have economic, social, and environmental balance, meaning the 3 elements are as important. It's not more important the economic than the social or than the environment. There must be a balance in order to have a sustainable community. So with this territorial management model, it seeks to have this balance. And now we go back to Alberto to discuss a bit about the metropolitan approach in such a project.
In a metropolitan approach, as Pedro Ortiz told us, the metropolis is integrated of a set of urban units and each one plays a role, but have to have their own strategy. Following the line forces, railways, roads, coasts, and even airports, we can delineate the metropolitan matrix and realize each of the strategies. In the chessboard, Cancun is the king. Cancun as a regional development hub should take advantage in the international scope, promoting commodities that the region produces. The queen Merida, at the other side of the peninsula, should become a knowledge center related with technology and healthcare. The bishops, Campeche as a logistics center having the 4 modes of transport should be a potential cross-docking center. Ciudad del Carmen is an all-industry city. Solidaridad, at the other side of the peninsula, must be a service city for tourism and the export supply chain. And Palenque, as Fatima have present us, is an archaeological ancient city and is the gate for the Tren Maya. The ninth, Escárcega is a node city, as the entry and exit is the input and the output of the circuit of Tren Maya. Cozumel playing a strategical role as a home port, supplying itself and Cancun. Carrillo Puerto is a city that supplies services for tourism and the export supply chain. It also has a direct connection with Mérida. Puerto Progreso is a port, serves as a logistics seaport to Mérida and to all the peninsula. And the Rooks, Centro has a strategic role delimiting the chessboard, but connecting north and south, east and west with all Mexico. And Oton Blanco is a south border. And the Ponds, Canacín, Valladolid, Tizmín, Champotón, etc., they are distributed along the board, playing the expansion and of housing and trade. And now we have here a chart of strategies showing the cities, the population, the strategies, and the feature of each one. Now, Rachid will tell us about the conclusions.
We can conclude that infrastructure development is critical to generate growth, reduce poverty, and address broader development goals. The key approach for this is through metropolitanization, which comes in three different scales: the macro, which is the regional strategic development; the meso, which is the urban strategic development; and the micro, which is context belonging. For the macro regional strategic development, what is key is a regional system that is structured by main urban centers, that in this case is Palenque, Campeche, Mérida, and Cancun, and how their roles, they can create a regional dynamic. For this, it is important to think about complementation between urban centers. Thus, collateral benefits or positive externalities by key specialization projects that focus on this complementation will strengthen or redefine the regional dynamic. The mesoscale urban strategic development looks at the access and the flow of people that, in this case, the Tren Maya will create. This will enable to create new economic activities or to make social infrastructure feasible. Because whereas the regional scale looks through metropolitan specialization within the regional system, urban strategic development looks to the diversification within the urban centers. The Yucatan Peninsula is not diversified enough when it comes to economy. It relies mainly in tourism, agriculture, and oil, as we have seen. Thus, cities must seek to diversify their economies towards more knowledge-based economies. Context belonging is very important. It is about integration and dialogue. It is about that integration and dialogue are the base of this process. It is important to reconnect with its unique history, which dates back to centuries, even more than 1,000 years, more than a couple thousand years old. And in this period of time, local knowledge and philosophy, which has been created throughout all this time, should dictate how new technologies and economies are going to be applied. One important example of this, or one important approach that we can take, is the way locals produce Melipona honey, which it involves an ecological protection, because the bees must be protected from pesticides and must be in a untouched environment. It involves cultural preservation because it takes from techniques that dates from a long time ago, and economic improvements because it is a unique product with unique characteristics and attributes that are very ideal for exportation or selling, and this reflects the manners of working that new economies or new economic activities should take place. We would like to thank you for your attention, and we will be attentive for further inquiries. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much to IMF Latin America for presenting. I believe we are also joined by Fatima here. Can you speak,
Yes,
Fatima? Are
Mark,
you
here
there?
I am.
Yay! Perfect.
Hey.
Nice to finally see you. Yeah, so thank you for that presentation. We'll open the floor for 10 minutes for questions. I think that's a very good case study in terms of metropolitan infrastructure. Pedro, you're raising your hand. You're muted.
Yes, Fatima, nice to see you and to talk to you. Can you update us on the actual situation of the national government of Mexico on metropolitan management? Because what I know is that some time ago, they had a special funds to share with metropolises to promote metropolitan management planning and so on. And the issue is that in Mexico, there are probably 6 big metropolises, but not 48. And I was told that 48 metropolises applied for those funds. And as one neighbor told me, they promised 1,000, they approved, no, they promised 1,000, they approved 100, they gave us 10, no? So at the end, these kind of funds were peanuts, and probably now they have even disappeared. Can you tell us what is the general Mexican approach to national approach to promoting metropolitan management and planning through the national context?
Sure, Pedro. I think right now is also in this conference, Professor Laveaga. I think he has a more clear idea on what's the status of the metropolitan approach right now in the country. So Alberto, are you there?
Yeah, Fatima. Well, Pedro, it's a difficult question. You know that, yeah, but we have to suffer all the politicians' declarations, and as you have said, the results are only peanuts, but we are trying to we are making an effort to get more resources for the projects and for the metropolitan projects, because the politics are, if you have 2 municipalities in a project, you can be upgraded with the resources. But at this time I don't have the numbers to answer your question. Sorry, Pedro.
Thank you for that. Hi, Alberto. Nice to see you here. In relation to Pedro's question, maybe I understand those challenges. It's also similar to our context here in the Australasian chapter. But my question also to IMF Latin America chapter: are there sort of low-hanging fruit opportunities or partnerships, such as with academia or professionals or organizations, where IMF can promote our organization and also maybe engage more fellows? I know maybe Fatima. I don't know if Milena is also here.
I think
I
we
know it's
already, yeah, I'm sorry. We have discussed this in our chapter earlier. And for example, there's a lot of opportunity, I think, with academia. Academic sectors are open. And for example, we were talking that here in Mexico, like we have the biggest university, UNAM, and we don't really have subjects related with metropolitan approach. And I think that's very ironic because we live in a metropolis. So I think there's a big opportunity in these areas, for example.
perfect. Thank you for that, Fatima. In relation to that suggestion, we're putting together the academic task force headed by Kelvin here also. Maybe if there's an opportunity, Kelvin can share. Milena is raising your hand. Milena?
Yes, but do you want to finish your point about the academia first because I want to go back Maya and Berton and have some questions about Tren Maya.
Yeah, I think
yeah,
my point is done.
yeah, maybe just a follow through on that. Fatima, it would be good to link with Kelvin. He is heading the IMF Academic Task Force. So maybe you can follow through with that and maybe explore that partnership with that university in Mexico. Yes, Milena.
Yes, thank you, Maya, Alberto, and Rashid for that view of Tren Maya. I think it's one of the most important projects in Latin America. Is the largest one. So I don't know if you have like very comprised summary about the Tren Maya, like how many kilometers, when it's going to start to be implemented. Is it still under studies, or when it's going through construction, or when it's expected to be finished, and how much population will benefit, and how much will it cost, and who is financing this? I know it's too many questions, but are the key questions when you have these kind of projects for metropolitan management. So
Okay, I answer first the ones I have in my mind, the answer. Like it's gonna go through 1,500 kilometers. Then it was, yeah, how much it costs, I'll tell you in a minute. And the population benefited, like we don't have this. I think we do have it. Just I need to
Fatima,
check it first.
Yeah, here's my suggestion. I think the Tren Maya, I agree with Milena, is a very good and interesting case study, and it can be, I don't know, replicated depending on the context. Maybe you can put together sort of a brief summary of the profile of it. Maybe we can share to the rest of the fellows also. And for us, for the Australian chapter, that's also very interesting for us, and to know more about it. Yeah, I think it's a very important project. Maybe you can put together sort of a summary, and we'll be glad to know more about it. Is that okay?
Yes, that's perfect.
Perfect. Thank you, Fatima. Yeah. Are there other questions for IMF Latin America chapter? I'm really grateful for putting together the pre-recorded session. I can see Kelvin here. Hey, Kelvin.
Yes, hi Mark. Hi everyone. Good evening from the Philippines. Anyway, I just want to put it out here that yes, we are. I am actually starting some sort of a collaboration with the University of the Philippines in our design class for fourth year level students, and integrating it with our planning course. And we're going through together with the Mapua University, the hackathon in Metro Cebu. So probably in the next Metropolitan Congress, we'll be able to present the outputs that we're making for this year, and how we will continue to explore the metropolitan discipline for the Philippine context. And maybe we can open the collaboration then with other universities in other
Especially
chapters.
with Latin America and
yes,
Fatima
and,
here, I think.
yeah, very similar. We have
can,
very similar
yeah.
cultures, so it's very interesting to collaborate with them. Thank you.
Yeah, at least we finally meet here. Thank you, Kelvin. So I'll link you to Kelvin for the academic task force, and maybe you can explore other comments. I think if there are none, we can proceed with the next chapter. So if there are further comments, then you can post it in the chat session. Mertz, are you ready to share about the IMF Australasia chapter? Thank you, Fatima and Alberto and the team from Latin America for putting that together. Really helpful. Mertz, let's proceed with the IMF Australasia chapter.
Yes. Thank you, Mark. Good day to everyone. Let me share my presentation.
So while Mertz is sharing, he is actually our co-lead, currently spearheading Australian chapter while in the global platform. But hopefully we can continue the efforts with the chapter, Australian chapter. Mertz? can
Yeah.
begin.
Wait for a moment. Okay. Yeah, good day to everyone. It's nice to meet virtually our colleagues here in IMF. So we are the Austronesian chapter. As Mark mentioned, we headed the Austronesian chapter. Uh, uh, we will be presenting mostly metropolitan challenges and how the projects and activities of the Austronesian chapter commence, and what are our milestone and the challenges that we're facing. Firstly, I would like to start with who are the Austronesian fellows. So basically, Austronesian is a group of islands from Madagascar to uh, uh, New Zealand, and then from Papua New Guinea to Hawaii. So these are the islands comprising the Austronesian chapter. But of course, it's a big challenge for us because we are an group of islands or an islands within the region. So it's very hard to organize as a chapter. And of course, having this kind of challenges right now, adding the COVID pandemic, so it's really hard to grow as an island chapter. As we mentioned before, as everyone knows also, Australasia is covers a wide geographic area from, as I mentioned earlier, Madagascar to Eastern Island, and basically more than 30 countries comprise the Austronesian chapter. But it started here in the Philippines. Currently, we are 20 fellows here, and we have one from Indonesia, Jakarta. So it's a long way for us to organize and to be one Austronesian chapter. So this is a big challenge for us to convey this to work double time and have some representative, hopefully, from other countries. So, but I would like to introduce Austronesia, how it become Austronesia. So we started with the origins. So basically, the term Austronesian was coined by Wilhelm Smith. The word is derived from the German Ostronesisch, which is based on Latin Oster or south, and Greek word nos as island. Okay, and the family is aptly named because of most Austronesian languages are spoken by island dwellers. So major Austronesian languages includes Malay, as you can see this more in Indonesia and in Malaysia, Javanese for the Java people, and of course Tagalog for here in the Philippines. And according to some estimate, the family contains about 1,257 languages, which is, of course, the second most of any language family. So Malay is spoken by roughly 250 million people, and this makes it the eighth most spoken language in the world. And as you would notice here in how people the movement of people, no, it dates back 400 years, and you can see here in the arrows how the people from one island to another move. And yeah, in terms of socioeconomic study, we don't really have, as an Austronesian region, we don't have that study yet. But of course, each country have its own. So what I can or what can I present to you right now is our country, the Philippines, and what are the metropolitan challenges that we're facing. And one or two, we can discuss some other countries who have similar challenges. So let me start. So here, we can start with the government. Presently, lack of government technical capacity and mindset to plan, implement, and manage metropolitan development is very evident here in the Philippines. We have metropolis already, like the Metro Manila, but in terms of government technical capacity, it's a big challenge for us. But the present government right now is trying to, make a mark in terms of infrastructure project. We coined their economic program, our economic program here, as a build program. So it started with building, revisiting our railway system and make it happen. Started here in the Big Island, the Luzon Island. So the government or the infrastructure project here in terms of railway is envisioned to connect the north to south, and this has basically a three-phase big ticket project. With the first started last 2016, a 38-kilometer mass transportation railway system connecting Clark to Calamba, Laguna. So it's on the pipeline right now. So it's the budget is around 105 billion pesos. So it's supposed to be finished this year, but due to the challenges, so it might be extended. And another issue that our government right now is, in particular, for example, in Indonesia, they're planning to transfer the capital from Jakarta to one of the big islands in Indonesia. So it's Indonesia's capital city is to be relocated to Kalimantan, or on the island of Borneo. So that's another challenge, and we have conducted a webinar about the transfer. And here in the Philippines, as we have 3 metropolitan areas as defined by the National Economic and Development Authority, and we have others, no, other metropolis, but I want to go straight to the issues in terms of the Philippine metropolitan context. No? So metropolis are not really large cities, no? But um, uh, highly urbanized areas that develop into metropolitan areas. So like here, for example, in the Philippines, in National Capital Region, so it's a group of cities, small cities uh, uh, joined together, no, to become national, our capital. And metropolis are sets of urban units that share a significant daily uh, uh, yeah. So here, for example, in Metro Manila, it's basically uh, a small area of the island, but because of the development of the individual municipality or cities become now our center. And because of this, it creates a lot of problems because if the government is not ready to develop it to a metropolitan scale, it creates a problem in terms of transportation, movement of people, and so on. But government response on this is to create another metropolitan areas like here in Luzon. The government is trying to develop the nearby Metro Clark. So that's how the ways forward to decongest Metro Manila. And in the other islands of the Philippines, like Metro Cebu, is now is also booming metropolitan area. So it's the same problem with Metro Manila. So it's a congested area, and a group of cities and municipalities join together to become one big metropolitan area. So at the present situation, we have the 10 largest existing metropolitan areas here in the Philippines. So of course, on top of it is Metro Manila. Is around 13 million in terms of population, followed by Metro Cebu, Metro Davao, Metro Clark, up to Metro Legazpi. And take note that the one with asterisks are metro areas with a formal management structure. The rest, it's just still on the pipeline or still in the plan stages. So a lot of challenges here in the Philippines to really develop into a full-grown metropolitan areas. And of course, the rationale for metropolitan management structure, as I mentioned earlier, no? The rapid and high urbanization or the population growth rates is really uncontrollable because, of course, where the development is, people tends to go, and urbanization problems that cross across municipal boundaries really create problems, and too large for individual local governments to handle. That's why it really needs a higher level of governance, and we're looking forward to really put in place metropolitan government in those group of municipalities or cities. So, of course, the idea here is to the optimization of economic benefits from urban agglomeration and concentration, like what happened here in the Metro Manila. Okay, so in the professional side, as part of our metropolitan challenges, so we really need to for a policy and financial mechanism to support metropolitan planning, because that that's the one aspect that really missing the funds. So that's why whenever you do planning without financial or resources backing, it won't really prosper. And we tend to align with the UN SDG 2030 goal. Like, for example, Singapore, their Green Plan 2030, which is a whole of a nation movement to advance Singapore's national agenda. So we really aspire here in the Philippines to be a similar goal in terms of sustainable development. And also, the Green Plan charts some ambitious and concrete targets over the next 10 years. It's one of the targets, no? And of course, the UN's 2030 Sustainable Development Agenda and the Paris Agreement, positioning Singapore to achieve a long-term net zero emission or aspiration as soon as possible, or as viable. As you can see in their infrastructure projects. Here in the Philippines, still a big challenge for us. So that's as far as the professional metropolitan challenges. In the academe, we want to have a metropolitan scale planning, or still not yet mainstream in the professional discipline. I think this is also the same with other chapters. No? So basically, mainstreaming metropolitan discipline in the academic aspect, still a long way to go. But of course, given with our effort right now, hopefully will be mainstream as soon as possible. And of course, we look into the technology and fourth industrial revolution, like what's happening in Taiwan right now. So there's a big movement in terms of largest metropolitan area in Taiwan. So Taipei is being part of the major high-tech industrial area in Taiwan. So looking at these opportunities, we're hoping to, reach out, and hopefully later on we have fellows from Taiwan, Singapore, to make Austronesian region see it as one chapter. Okay, for our projects and activities in 2020, we conducted a series of webinar, start the ball rolling in discussing metropolitan learning sessions. So, of course, we're very thankful with Pedro's presence in all of these activities. Really boost the recruitment of fellows here in the Philippines. And of course, the challenge is the pandemic, so limits our opportunity to network in other countries. So the year was culminated with the participation of some of the Austronesian chapter members in the Bhubaneswar Metropolitan Virtual Workshop. So that's in 2020. But here, this year, in 2021, we try to elevate our activities and projects with the launch of Metro X, the Metropolitan Exchange series, as part of IMF branding. So we successfully conducted with in conducting Metro X here in the Philippines and one in Indonesia. As I mentioned earlier, we tried to discuss how Indonesia will transfer their capital to Brunei. So, and then along that line, we also launched Metro X Junior, where our main audience are the graduating architectural students in our universities here in the Philippines. So we really bank on the future of our metropolitan planners with our new projects. So that's why as early as this year, we involved the students to participate. And another activity that we initiated because of these challenges of connectivity. So we try to conduct virtual get-together among the fellows here in Australasia, and we take the platform of the Change Your World transformation table. John Maxwell and Rap Hutchins team up to change the world. So we conducted a lot of sessions in transformation table and action table to get to know with our members here in Australasia, and we finished up to the action table. It's very interesting because a lot of structured learning to get to know each other. We look forward with the leadership of Mark to replicate this to other chapters, hopefully interchapter the transformation table, or we can coin it in a way that each and everyone can understand. But it's a good thing about it is we have a module to follow in terms of discussion. So very interesting and very successful here in Indonesia. And for our milestone, of course, one of our milestone is Mark being our IMF Global President started last July and it will end this December. So we look forward for Mark to affect great changes, in the global IMF. And of course, we're looking forward after his term as global president to really focus to how we can expand further the chapter here in Australia. Then, of course, the launching of Metro X, and then our active participation for this event, the Metropolitan World Metropolitan Day. And lastly, the successful launch of our first Metro Hackathon web platform as prelude to a bigger brain shop activity for metropolitan discipline. So it's ongoing right now. It will be presented also. It will be form part of our presentation for the Metro first IMF Metropolitan Congress. So lastly, for our tactical planning, these are the current chapter challenges. Of course, even though we are already in terms of number here in the Philippines, quite number already, but a lot of people are inactive. So we need to create more activities for them to be unactive members of IOE. And then, of course, as I mentioned already, generally the membership from Australasia is here in the Philippines. So we aspire to reach out with other countries hopefully next year. No? And then, of course, the difficulty to get members from other countries is one of the challenges. And the availability of members during chapter meetings, the need for more institutionalization of IMF statutes within the chapter. No? And hopefully we can increase membership with other countries. But in terms of opportunities in the academia and professional collaboration, we were able to mobilize other groups, other partners like the Cebu Leads Foundation in Metro Cebu. So they are our partners in the conduct of the Metro Hackathon. Of course, Metro Cebu being our topic for the first Metro Hack initiative. And then, of course, we have Kelvin here who headed academic collaborations and potential collaboration with other organizations. No, like we have members in the who work in economic zones, authorities, local government units. So we want to maximize that eventually later. For the proposed project, as you all know, we will have our national election next year. So we'll take that as an opportunity to pull our ranks, no, and hopefully prepare after election to have a massive metropolitan activities, not only here in the Philippines, but hopefully with other countries. Yeah, and we aspire to priority in terms of recruitment or hopefully to get more fellows in Indonesia, Singapore, Korea, and we will use whatever platform we have right now, like the transformation table, to pitch in with other countries to join. Metropolitan.
Yeah. So I think it's perfect to jump off very quickly since we have 2 minutes allotted for our chapter. But thank you for that presentation. Fadli, I'd like to give Fadli the last 2 minutes here. Fadli is our only fellow outside the Philippines. He is from Indonesia. But really, we've been having a lot of discussions. Fadli, are you there?
Yeah. Hello, Mark. Thank you for the opportunity.
Sure. Can you share briefly about Indonesia and our, because as mentioned, our focus right now is to really expand beyond the Philippines in terms of the association chapter, and we're glad that Indonesia is also here. Fadli, you can share.
Okay, thank you. Can I share the screen, please?
Yes, you can share. Yeah. Thank you, Mertz, for that presentation. Very comprehensive, and yeah, we look forward to continuing with the current efforts. And the Cebu Metro Hackathon will be presenting it in the October 30. Yes, Fadli, we can see your screen.
Okay, thank you very much for the opportunity, Mark. Thank you, Mertz, for your explanation about the Austronesian city. Hi, Pedro, and other members of IMF and fellows here in the IMF Congress. I'm happy to share a lot of words about the opportunities and challenges of the IMF in Indonesia. As mentioned by Mertz before, that Jakarta is one of the most potential metropolitan cities that will become the largest populated city in 2030 and become the most biggest metropolitan city in the world. And as the note that Indonesia is to hold G20 presidency in this 2022, so there will be upcoming demography bonus by this decade, according to the Statistics Bureau. And Jakarta itself this year just won the 2021 Sustainable Transportation Award by ITDP. And some challenges that me as the first fellow in Indonesia face some challenges like some social lack of socialization about IMF in Indonesia, especially maybe in Jakarta, and only few members of IMF fellows from Jakarta. And I think it needs to introducing IMF to central government related to relocation of capital city from Java to Borneo that Mars mentioned earlier. So I think I'm so happy that in this at this event right now there are other member from Indonesia. His name is Mr. David. So I'll try to reach him about it, and I hope that we can make more sustainable, more event in the upcoming session to make more people join to the fellowship. I think that's all what I need to say. Mark, thank you for the
Thank you so much, Fadli.
opportunity.
Yeah, so we look forward to continuing the discussion when we had the MetRex session with Rio de Janeiro. So lessons on the capital, transfer of the capital. So I think that's a very interesting discussion. I'd like to open the floor to some questions. Are there questions for the Austronesian chapter? So as you can see, the real challenge actually is we're an archipelagic chapter. So we're an island chapter. So really putting together a lot of fellows is a huge challenge for us. I think if there are no further questions, you can put in the chat if you have. We can proceed with the next one, with the next chapter. I'm just conscious also of the time. I can see a hands raised. Who's that?
From it's Pedro.
Pedro.
Yeah. Yes, Pedro. Yes, Pedro.
I always raise my hand because I love to talk to all of you.
No, that's perfect.
Well, rather than a question, first is to congratulate the chapter. No, Australasia chapter is the most active chapter, and you are doing great things with innovation. We are innovating, and that's absolutely great. About the presentation, two comments. First, Mertz, I saw a very interesting data in your presentation. No? You have 250 people, 250 million people talking the Austronesian languages, the family, and you have 150 languages within the family. No? Which probably, obviously, you are not the most talked language in family of languages in the world, but you're probably the most extended one, because from Madagascar to Eastern Island, really it's half of the world. No? It's probably 25,000 kilometers, which is more than half of the world. So probably you are the most extensive. You know that in the world, at the beginning of the 20th century, at the beginning, there were 7,000 languages. And now we only have 6,000. So we have lost 1,000 languages in 100 years, which means practically losing one language every month, because 100 years by 12 months is so really we are losing a lot of languages, and we have to protect those languages because it's a cultural biodiversity. It's the way we think is built up by the language we have learned as babies that really creates the way we think. No, and I think having an Austronesian chapter in the IMF, in the Metropolitan Fellowship, is a way of promoting an area of the world that has been often forgotten as part of the history, a part of the world. So I'm very happy to have your chapter and to see the activity and the innovation of you. And I want to point out something which will be polemic, and I'm pointing that out because we are among ourselves and we are not in public, no? Which is the following. Look, when you were talking about Clark City, you know, there are many new town proposals around the world. And a new town proposal generally comes when the politician in charge of the capital, many times the president, not of managing the problems of those metropolises. So as they feel inept to manage those issues of the core metropolis, they invent, well, as I cannot manage this. Let's do it. Let's start again, somewhere else. Look, if you have been appointed to manage something, and what you are saying, I am not able to manage that, let's start again somewhere else. What you should do is resign, because you have been elected or appointed to manage the metropolis. And if you don't know how to manage the metropolis, then resign, but do not try to find escape route, saying, well, we will create a new town that will take 20 or 30 years to be created. So I will not be there when this will be a failure, no? And meanwhile, I'm saying that I am not in charge of my responsibilities because I am creating the new town. So whenever a politician is asking for a new town, think about the possibility to ask for his resignation. Because these new towns is great, it's the new centralities in metropolis. We are, after 30 years, we have all agreed, but people still go on congresses talking about this, that a metropolis, the difference of metropolis is that a metropolis is polycentric. It's not just a main center with satellites, no? It's polycentric. So it's great to create those centers, those many centers, but it's not just one Clark City. It should be 32 Clark cities that should be created to be able to house all the development and the huge expansion that we are addressing and confronting in the metropolises. So it's good, Clark City, but two. And if the politician tries to find an escape route to his incompetence, what we should do politically is to ask for his resignation rather than follow his escape route. Thank you.
Thank you, Pedro. Yeah, I hope that's something we can really do. But yeah, really interesting to study that, and it's really challenging in the Philippines. Well, just briefly to share, when we were doing the Metro Hackathon just last week, I was really surprised about the dynamics where instead of playing one chessboard, it feels like for Metro Cebu, it feels like there's two chessboard, because Cebu City is under a different it's independent, it's autonomous, and then you have the 13 other municipalities under the province. So you have basically the mayor and the governor governing entire metropolitan area. But anyway, I'll speak more about it on October 30 on the Metro Hackathon. But those people to resign. I don't know if Babalola is here, Danny. Can you double check? Because our next in line is the Sub-Sahara chapter. If not, I think we can proceed with Amir Central Asia chapter. Amir, are you there? Amir?
Hello. Yes, I'm here.
Hello.
Mark.
Okay, so we'll have your chapter first, and then later on we can go back to Sub-Sahara chapter. Can you share?
Okay. Yes.
Okay. So while Amir is sharing, I'm really thankful for Amir. He was the one who really pushed in the development of our website. The posters that you're seeing right now is all done by Amir. Thank you so much, Amir. So the screen is yours.
You're welcome, Mark. Good time, everyone, and welcome to first IMF Congress to celebrate World Metropolitan Day. First of all, let me thank you all for attending this Congress. Today, I'm presenting the Central Asia chapter of the IMF and its vision, area, and its mission. I divided my presentation into 4 parts. The first one is Central Asia identities. After that, metropolitan challenges. Then we go to project activities, and then future project and activities. First of all, I'd like to give you an overview of IMF and Central Asia chapter identity. As you know, the IMF is an international and multicultural community of metropolitan experts in 52 countries supporting governments, academics, and professional sectors. In the IMF, we divided the world into some chapters. The reason of division is related to the culture and the background of each area. One of these chapter is Central Asia. The Central Asia that we say CAC comprises Iran, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyz Republic, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Armenia, and Azerbaijan. It's also referred to Istan as some countries of this chapter names end with the Persian suffix is Istan, means the land of. The history of Central Asia cities goes back to thousands years ago. That located along the Great Silk Road that moves around Tashkent, Osh, and some other cities. That was a intersection of the culture that helped the people to go from the east to go to the west, and it helped them for this region. Central Asia countries have taken different approaches for their development in their efforts to reestablish urban government system and support social and economic development in areas. Each country's records includes both successes and failures, because this area has its own challenges, and most of them are related to the policy of this area. And after the Soviet area in this chapter, some countries are divided from the Soviet, and they are challenging with some difficulties, and they are their own rules for developing their countries. This area is a diverse region with a mix of upper and middle low income countries with a significant strategic importance due to their geography, location, and natural resources. In the pre-Islamic and early Islamic area, Central Asia was inhabited predominantly by Iranian, populated by Eastern Iranian speaking, and after expansion, the Turk people, Central Asia became the homeland of Kazakh, Uzbek, Tatar, and other. And after that, the Turk languages largely replaced the Iranian language in this area. The Central Asia population is about 445 million people in 10 countries. That you can see the each population in the presentation. We have a lot of metropolitan in this area, that most of them are not very large metropolitan, that they need to have a long-term vision for their future, because we have a high range of migration from rural to urban and metropolitan areas, and this forces us to make a long-term vision for this area. For the continuing, we have metropolitan challenges. The first one we need to help the government to develop the metropolitan because, as I said, most of the countries in this area are divided from Soviet, and they don't have uh, they don't have uh, some plans for their future, and they have low income that cause the poverty in the future, and we need help the government for making some plan for the future. For continuing, we need to work with professional to make a connection between professional to share their experience about metropolitan planning to improve the quality of life and decrease the poverty in this chapter. And after that, and as you know, all of the students after finishing their study in the university become to professional or government employees, and they need to be familiar with metropolitan planning and its challenges, and if they have a good vision about the metropolitan and the needs of metropolitan planning, they can make a better plan for the future in this area. If I want to speak about the activities that we done in 2021 in Central Asia chapter in last year, we had some meetings with professionals, and we have some meetings for collaboration with some, universities around the chapters. After that, we were participant in the Budapest Metropolitan Brain Shop, and we hold a workshop with collaboration Digital Blue Form that they are a startup that based in Singapore. And after that, we forced the process of IMF website, and we did it in Central Asia chapter, and now we have its on website. And after that, we focused on the some collaboration with Mark and Australasia chapter for holding this Congress. For the future, we have some plans for our chapter. That is the main of them is expanding our membership in our region. After that, we want to improve and developing collaboration with the governments, professional and academia, and we have some workshops and some brain shop and webinars that will be held in some months after this Congress, and we are focusing on some professional projects. Mark, I'm with you, and if you have any question, I'm with you.
Thank you so much, Amir, for that concise presentation. Yes, the Central Asia chapter has been very helpful in terms of putting together the website and all of the other events. My question, Amir, just to follow through also on the potential collaborations. You mentioned before when you were discussing some possibilities of collaboration with the academe. What would be the status of that? Is there an opportunity for IMF to collaborate?
We have some plans with collaborating with Tech Lab of Shiraz University for holding some workshops and brain shops, and we sent some invitation to join us to the some universities in our chapter, and some of them answered this email, and we are planning for workshop for Armenia and Azerbaijan for the first step.
Perfect. Thank you, Amir. We
You're welcome.
looking forward to seeing that happen. Are there other questions? Pedro, are you raising your hand again?
Not this time, but look, you have talked today three or four universities, no? Professors linked to universities, and you just, Amir, mentioned a connection with a university. Why don't you get together the 5 or 6 universities? We have an academic team and so on, and we can set up a course, a virtual course to be made by internet, no? That can be shared among those universities. There is no need to be a presential course. There is no need to have it in the curriculum of the universities. The 5 or 6 professors from different universities, and I will collaborate as much as I can, we can set up an IMF metropolitan course that will be the first starting point for academics and a reference for any university that wants to develop something on the area of, and that's not expensive, and it's an initiative that we can take all together. No, it's putting together a few classes on metropolitan development, a few case studies, and so on, and the 5 professors which are here, you can do that together, and that will be a world premiere. No, that's just a suggestion.
Perfect. We're on it, Pedro. Amir, can we do it?
Yeah. Yes, I offered this to the universities, and the Shiraz University in the very first meeting accepted this plan, and I'm challenging with them to start this course as soon as possible.
Thank you, Amir. Kelvin is heading the academic task force. So Kelvin, we're, the job is piling up. So I think if there's one outcome, I think if there's one outcome, I agree with Pedro. That's something we can do a project on, especially in November, after pulling this IMF Congress. So yeah, good. Thank you, Pedro. Are there other comments?
Add on that, I believe we fellows of a particular chapter should, come together, act as one group, divide ourselves into team, and take up the major concerns or the identified problems, and undertake research on the same. For further progress, we can also tie up or sign an MOU with an organization of our respective countries, and then submit the best joint proposal or research prepared to them. Apart from this, we should also continue to spread the metropolitan knowledge in the best possible way in our country. That's what I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Aronika, for that. I fully agree with that. Kelvin, the man of the hour, you're raising your hand. Yeah.
Yes. Currently, I'm collaborating with Antonella through the manifesto. I don't know if everyone have received a copy of that. The Tell Me, the Metropolitan Discipline document produced by several universities, including Politecnico di Milano.
I think it was sent. Yeah, I think we can share it again to
so this
the fellows.
is a base, very good base. Yeah, we can share it again so everyone can have a background and be on the same page.
Yeah, I think that can be a good backbone, Kelvin. Thank you for mentioning that. What I would suggest is, since the task force we've initiated, we're currently forming the committee, the core group. Maybe the professors that Pedro mentioned earlier, the one Alberto and the rest. Maybe we can maybe a meeting or something and follow through on the suggestion of this online course or metropolitan course that we can put together.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Yeah, we sent emails already. As of the
Thanks,
moment.
Kelvin. Good.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's what I
Thank you.
like. Thank you, Kelvin.
Thank you.
Anyone else? I think anyone else? Okay.
Okay, I hope is my screen visible?
Yep, you can see it.
Yeah, thank you, Mark and Pedro, for giving me this opportunity. And good evening, all the international metropolitan fellows who are present here. So our chapter presentation will hold two different parts. So the first half of the presentation will be focusing much on a particular physical component, and the second half of the presentation will be dealing about the what are the activities that we were having as for now, and what are the steps that we have taken for the future endowment of our sector. So I'll be happy to represent my chapter by presenting my recent research on envisioning the metropolitan environment. It's basically an intercellular approach of spatial development, wherein which we all know the metropolitan principles, right? This is just an attempt to incorporating our metropolitan principles with specific component. So the concern that I have taken as major metropolitan problems is lies in different components. Of course, we have been discussing about academic activities and other things, but as a whole, we all start dealing our metropolitan area in a way of predictive activities, social facilities, housing sectors, or to the transportations. It's all disjoint in an isolated way. Obviously, with the help of this metropolitan principles, we were able to make it as in a continuous system. But I personally feel that one element that need to be addressed is an environmental sector. So I've just put this question to the forum. So what exactly the environment to you people? For you, maybe it's just a green catchy spaces, or it's a platform for various flora, or it's a space for different species. Of course, yes, it is in a very isolated way, but we may call in a conclusive way that it's a overall biodiversity. But it's all in the past, right? So as for now, we were being able to see about the forest fires, climate change, or about the sea surges. So we were it's more like all these things are getting faded away, the natural facts, and it's all seems to be in the past. And as for now, we were in the present stage, which is on the phase of environmental degradation. If this goes on, then what will be in the future? That's the base question of this particular presentation. Ultimately, the aim of any planned physical development is to achieve a better quality of life without having any doubt. But what exactly that we were doing is faster responding to their human needs, and we were just providing the shelters with their basic facilities. But one untold truth is, like, each generation, the facilities and the lifestyle, it keeps on changing. And of course, where the urban environment is totally meaningless, of course, the transformation is the only thing that can never change. That's what the main aim of this particular study, to identify where exactly the potential spatial planning is required with respect to the to act as a shield of an environment from the degradations, wherein which I have formulated certain objectives to take forward my study. And I've just limited it with the example of Chennai as a thing. And the moment I started explaining about the environment, I of course have to convey about the process of urbanization, because definitely it's a continuous process. And if you have look out this particular figure, it's very catchy figure, I think. And there were a lot of colorful bubbles here. And if you have look up the bubbles, it starts from Brazil, US, Spain, France. It's all almost 75% of urban area, which means it's all already reached its threshold. And at the same time, if you have look out Indonesia, Philippines, it's all into the process of reaching that urban level. Whereas that India, luckily, of course, it holds 33% of urban area, but still there is an opportunity of much more of rural spaces, which means we can able to integrate our metropolitan concepts. We can definitely enforce our metropolitan principles for the upgradation of Indian endowment. And at the same time, when you look out this growth rate, it's about the 2.4% increase. If this rate goes on, then within the world populations, we will be as part of 7 billion with the 416 million of urban dwellers. And if this keeps on continuous, then probably Delhi would be as like a Tokyo in another 1 decade, I think. So I just want to state this thing with the context of Chennai. It's the top of the metropolitan area in Indian country. And of course, there is a drastic change from the conversion of rural to the urban conversions. And as for now, in the state of 2021, we were in the exact half. That is, half of the rural areas still in our hand that can be emphasized. And it's obviously create a lot more of impacts on creating increases in the slums and the population's levels. And I have just want to focus much on the extent of the global forest cover, which even more states you a clear figure how far we were being converting our natural environment into a developed phases. So it's about the original extent of the forest cover, which is in 2000, and lately it gets reduced, and nearly 32% of our Earth holds just the forest covers. And this forest covers is keep on into the reduction rate of 67%. Definitely the 67% is not an easy number. And if you have look out it, it's the decline is about the 32%. And I also try to compare with the annual changes. And if you have look out the figure on the left hand side, it clearly shows the change is much more on the German, UK, and the American countries. Of course, luckily, the Indian context is quite different when compared to the other area. The annual change is comparatively less, but again, it holds the 1/3 of the habitable area. And a small transformation, like how exactly these forest areas have been converted is initially it's purely the forest area. People are now directly converting this area into a urbanized areas. So the process is very tedious. So they have the forest cover, which is being converted into a agricultural land. Later, they have not doing any yieldings and all. So that have been converted as a barren land, and lately it got into a urban area. And this process is in a continuous phase. And definitely this thing is happening in India. It's a very flourished green area, and much more scope for the metropolitan development holds two different phases. Like you have lot more of resources. At the same time, there is a serious decreases in the forest cover also. Like I have stated different the states of India with respect to its forest cover and its changes as well. So one hand you have comparatively high figure, and the other hand, you have the drastic figures of forest fires and other related activities. And one important factor that we all have to consider while we focusing on the metropolitan development, especially for the Indian context, is about the dependency of people on forest. I also try to convey, like, of course, we all human, fortunately, we have this sort of platforms. We all aware about the metropolitan principles to discuss much more about our issues. Imagine if this interface, where exactly that we were being into the interfacing with the animals. If you have look out this image, it's three clear different bubbles: human, pre-domestic wildlife, and the livestock. Until unless we were not jumping out one another, there is not an issue. The moment we started skipping out one particular stage and we started try to integrate with the other, where exactly the problem starts. For example, encroachment of the forest areas, agriculture intensifications and all. And I already said before, in case, just imagine the animals can able to communicate. How far they can able to address their issues, as like, are they able to discuss like, I am from this country and I have been seeing you. And do you think that we have been coexist as for now? And what happens if these animals started discussing about their they are falls into the endangered categories. Of course, as in planners, metropolitan experts, we were have to be in a mind, like we shouldn't disturb the environment by creating new development. We shouldn't be injustice to the environment. So I've just created that with an examples of our Chennai area, because it's you can able to see a continuous process. with the expansions of its land itself. It starts with 426 square kilometer of area, starts expanding in one particular direction, that is from east to our western directions of 1189. And as for now, the existing expansion of the area is 8878 square kilometer, which is exactly eightfold times is getting higher, which means and it's also getting radiated from the area. The built up area is rising by 52% and it's getting decreases by the 49%. So I just want to focus to impose our metropolitan principle. It definitely shouldn't be a monocentric structures, and we at the same time we have to control this sprawl. So we have to impose the polycentric structures by incorporating our thing. And I have been examining the economic development, and the one important factor which affects this environment is about the industrial setup, like the economic setup. So the concept that I have been come up with relations to our metropolitan principles, let it be the focus center, can be the industries, can be the economic development that will be surrounded by the vast environmental space, that can be the higher dense forest area, which having substantial other substitute forest covers. So these are the certain technical formulas that we have been worked out to how exactly we were been placing our metropolitan principles in a very mathematical way. It's just an attempt, and it's still in the abstract form that that had to be addressed. So as a overall that I have been conveyed that of course we have been handling a different physical components, and let me give much more importance on the environment as whole. And coming to the second part of my Indian chapter, like it's one, I feel like when compared to all the other chapter, it's one most dynamic destination with respect to its geographic area itself. And we have to introduce the metropolitan discipline in various aspects. Like it's a home for nearly 1/5 of the population. And we were exactly in the phase of converting the urbanization into a regionalization process. And we have already been conducted various brain shops and workshops like in Mumbai, Delhi, Kochi workshops, Bhubaneswar, everywhere. And it's beyond the municipality limit to the metropolitan challenge. And the main challenge that we want to address is the urban population. It's nearly 32%, and especially if you have look out the figure, it's nearly 20% of urban population falls under the category of BPL level, that is the below poverty level. And but at the same time, there is a scope for the metropolitan challenges, very particularly about these sectors like housing, transport, infrastructure, governance, as well as the environment. So to giving the figure of our Indian chapter, as for now, we have 94 fellows from 19 different states. We totally have 28 states, and covering a wide professionals and academic backgrounds. I think the figure clearly shows we have been diversified. Our thing is not limited with one particular sectors. We are academicians, government experts, professionals, non-governmental organizations, people, and majority of students are here in our group. So what we have did is we have divided our entire chapter into 5 core team members. So myself, Albert, Mr. Bishpati, Krishmita Arora, and Akriti, and Piyush. So I think we were much focused on how we were been taking our chapter into a very smooth functioning. So the main challenge that we facing as for now is we were not stopping our process. We were trying to work out on the further upgradations of our chapter. So the main challenge that we have faced is the inactive fellows. We have a huge bunch of fellows. It's 94 is not an easy number, I think. But the participation of these fellows is nearly very less when compared to the others. And the one problem that we were able to see is to gathering of all this 94 is still is the biggest task for us. And henceforth, the many fellows, or nearly 34% of fellows, are falls into the category of students. So that is also another issue that we were being focusing. But we were also trying to work on how far that we can able to benefited from our challenges. So we thought of expanding our content to conducting various brain shops and workshops, and with the collaborations with various government organizations and academics, because in the prior stage also people have discussing about the process of accreditations and all. So that legal formulation is the one barrier, I think, for promoting our metropolitan discipline, especially in the Indian chapter. So as for now, we will start focusing on the academic researches. So we thought of promoting various magazines or newspapers from our end. And also we were been trying to conduct various seminars and webinars, and we broadly categorize into two. We have certain short goals as well as we have certain long-term policies. So our short-term goal to be representing the academias or public policy making people, whereas the long run should be the metropolitan movement. We were thought of taking forward our metropolitan discipline as a movement. So, and we have 4 different departments like administration and documentations. We've been holding the whole workflow with the help of editorial team and social media and innovation sector, followed by the academic connects and branding. So as for now, we have been into this 4 stage. We have formulated the vision, mission, and also we have formulating the separate SOP for all 4 different departments. And we will try to conduct the exclusive chapter conference for Indian chapter. So I think that's it. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much, Christopher, for that comprehensive presentation. And yeah, I agree with you. In the chapter, as one of the largest membership, it's very key in terms of moving forward for the IMF. Are there questions for India chapter? Yes, I can see Pedro.
Yeah, Pedro.
Hello, Madhivadani, and
Yeah.
it's so nice to see you again. Look, Madhivadani is a professor of Chennai University, and she's specialized in transport and so on. And she just has presented the vision for Chennai and so on. Coming to my comments before, and Kevin, you are leading this group of academia. The UN Habitat World World Urban Forum is going to be in June in Poland, and people are starting to organize each other for presenting things at that World Urban Forum. I will probably be there, no, because I've been asked by the University of Mexico of Guadalajara, and we are organizing in Latin America a metropolitan approach to the policies of UN Habitat and the policies that have to be run around the world, but this is only for Latin America. But if you professors of the different universities get together and produce from here in 3-4 months a course on metropolitan planning, in English, obviously, for the Philippines, from Mexico, for Bolivia, for Argentina, for India, for whatever professors want to join, and you produce the course on internet, that can be presented at the World Urban Forum in 6 months' time or 7 months' time in Poland, and that is a world projection. For you as professors, for the metropolitan issues that UN Habitat is not taking enough care of, and obviously for the IMF as well, but collateral. But for you professors, you cover housing, you cover transport, you cover different types of knowledge, and you can have an approach, and each of you can make a class of 1 hour or whatever, and organize that course all together. Kevin, as you are in charge of the academia, but don't let it for the next 3 years. Do it in the next 4 months, and it will be presented at the World Urban Forum in Poland in June next year. No?
Sure, sure, Pedro. We will be working on it. I think we have already formulated the academia group. I think Mark have shared me the content for the academia. I think we were in the process of doing it. Of course, we were trying to make it possible by the other 1 or 2 months in a time. Sure.
Yes, thank you. So Kelvin, you have so much project. So we'll note of that. I think it's key that we discuss that with the professors as soon as possible, Kelvin. Yeah, I think that's a very interesting project moving forward for the academic task force. Anything else? I think first week of November, I think, Kelvin, we can discuss about it. And yeah, I've linked Calaselvan already to Kelvin. That's June, right, Pedro? June 2022, the World Urban Forum. So I think we can work backwards in terms of making that as a project, and then that can already be a priority project for the next presidency of IMF. Let's move forward. Lama, are you here? Lama?
Let me comment, Mark. Look,
yes,
what
please.
You just said about the next presidency. The idea of the IMF is to have presidencies that roll over very quickly, because you can start things in 6 months and you can do things in 6 months, as you have done with this Congress, But this is inspired out of the European Union. So in the European Union, you have every 6 months a new president, but there is a troika of three vice presidents or 3 presidents, which is the previous one and the next one. The 3 presidents, the actual one, the previous one, and the next one, form the core of the continuity of the European Union policies and principles and initiatives. So, Mark, even if there is a new president in 6 months' time, you will still be there. So whatever you start, you can run it, and whoever is going to be the next president, that I think is going to be Africa, Sub-Saharan Africa, they will just start. They can start right now and present that in Poland, and that is a project in itself. So I invite you, people which are related to universities, to work together and to produce that video course that will be worldwide presented in Poland. And the president, actual president, future president, and former president, you can all be together working on that. And
yes, of course. Yeah, I'll definitely be here and moving forward these initiatives, making sure that the succession is clear. Yeah, noted on that, of course, Pedro. So let's proceed to the next chapter. Lama, great. So yeah, so Arabia chapter will be presenting their opportunities and challenges. Lama, can you hear me, Lama? Hello, Lama. I think you're in mute. Lama, your audio.
Hello.
Yes, better. Yep,
Okay.
I can hear you.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank Mark and Amir for arranging our first Congress. And in this presentation, I'm going to present overview on Arabia region geography, origin, language, and Arab metropolitan challenges. Also, I would like to talk about the Arabia chapter fellows, challenges, opportunities, and proposed projects and initiatives. First, the Arabia geography. The Arabia chapter covered the Arab world, which include the culture of the Levant and Mesopotamia, Egypt and Sudan, and the Arabia Gulf here, and North African countries. And it includes a wide range of metropolitan areas, each with its socio-economic structure, history, and population. Like Cairo in Egypt, Baghdad in Iraq, Amman in Jordan, Damascus and Aleppo in Syria. And also we can divide the Arabia region or Arabia world into 4 sub-regions. Mashriq, which in the red bubble, and Maghreb, the blue one, Gulf countries, the yellow one, and Southern tier countries, the red one or the pink. About our language, the Arab world, also known as Arab nation, we consist of 22 Arab countries. The majority of these countries located in Western Asia, Northern Africa, Western Africa, and Eastern Africa. And the formal language in Arab states is Standard Arabic. However, we have also local vernacular languages are known as Darija in Maghreb and Ammiya in the Mashriq. And the majority of the vocabulary in these vernacular languages is shared with Standard Arabic. But also we borrow from other languages such as French, Spanish, and Italian, especially in the Maghreb. About the main challenges in Arab metropolitan, we face common challenges such as climate change, rapid urban growth, where more than 56% of population of the Arab world currently live in cities and urban centers, and it's expected to increase by 2015 by 75%. Also, we have we have problem in a large gap within countries in terms of urban rural breakdown. In that, some countries have become almost completely urban. I can give example Kuwait. With 98% of population are living in urban areas. Third point, it's about youth pledge. We have 16% of population below 25 years old.
Lama, excuse. There's no slide. I don't know if there's a.
What?
There's no slide.
No
there's
slide?
No. Yeah, you're not seeing. I'm not sure if I'm the only one, but there's no slide. It's
okay.
Not showing. Yeah.
Let me share it again.
Sure.
You didn't see any slide?
We saw it in the beginning. There were 2 slides, and then after that.
Okay, let me share it.
Yep.
Now.
There. It's sharing again. Good.
Okay.
Yep. Sorry. Yeah. Can continue. Yeah. Saw it. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. The third point is about youth pledge. I was saying that we have 16% of population below 25 years old and with high rates of unemployment. Also, we have problem. Can you still see the slides?
It disappears when you're transferring it.
Mark, can you help me?
Sure. Yesa, are you able to share the slides of Lama? There. Thank you, Yesa. There. Lama, can you see it? Lama, can you hear me? Yep. You can continue. Lama, can you hear me? Okay, Lama is just having some technical difficulties. So maybe while waiting for Lama, let's have a take the chance for a group photo, just in case we Iesa, can you take a photo? Everyone, can you open your videos? Let's take this chance to then we'll have another one later if there is time. So let us know, Iesa, if we can capture the photo. Lama is back. Lama? Yeah, Lama, we're just taking a group photo while we're waiting for you. So yeah, let's have a quick one. Then you can continue the presentation. So Iesa, let us know if it's okay already, the photo.
I'm sorry that I get a problem.
It's okay, Lama. Yeah, it's okay. So we're taking that opportunity to take a group photo while you're gone. So, but after this, you can continue your presentation.
Okay.
Iesa has shared your PowerPoint. Yeah. So Iesa, is it good? We're good. So everyone, smile. So this is the first IMF Congress. So it's going to be in the record books. Hopefully, we'll have many more congresses to come. Okay, we're good. Lama, you can continue the presentation. Thank you, Iesa. You can project Lama's presentation.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. You can see it.
Not yet, but
it's in the screen. There.
Okay.
Okay. Yep.
Okay, the fourth point, it's about economic and political problems. Also, we have a bigger problem in forest migration and the problem in housing, affordable housing shortage. And also we have a problem in urban informal settlements in some part of Arab region, like in Egypt. Can you go on the next slide? And if it's possible to make it bigger.
Yeah, can you enlarge it? Yes, I don't know if it's possible to make it bigger.
There are some technical difficulties. Let me just restart my PowerPoint.
Okay, sure, no problem. Adodo, are you there? You'll be presenting after Lama. Can you confirm if you're there? Adodo?
Adodo is here.
Okay, great.
I'm
so,
here.
Yeah,
Can you hear
great.
me?
Okay, yep, we can hear you. So yeah, we'll have you after Lama. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, Lama, can you see the presentation?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, in Arabia, here. No, the previous one. Okay, the next one. Okay. Currently in the Arabia chapter, we are 10 fellows from 6 countries, Jordan, Syria, Iraq, United Emirates, Arab Emirates, and Algeria. With 37% of the fellows are working in academia and 18% are working in government. The next slide, please. Our first Metro X was successfully held in 13th July. It was about 2 metros, Cairo and Amman. Unfortunately, we planned to hold another 2 Metro X, but it wasn't held. The next one. Okay. According to Arabia chapter fellows, our chapter faces several challenges. The first one is the communication between fellows, different availability and timing. Also, there is a difficulty in access to new members from new countries. Where are six countries out of 22 countries, and also most of the fellows are architects, urban planners, and or students. So until now, we don't have any expert in metropolitan discipline. But I can say that the most problem in our chapter that we have most of the fellows are inactive. The next slide, please. Our opportunities, we looking to hold conference on knowledge transfer between other chapters, establish Arab research group to analyze and study planning cases at the metropolitan level in the Arab world and link them with the academic institutions. Networking between academic institutions in different Arab universities and under the umbrella of IMF, especially that the most of the fellows in our chapter are working in academia. And an intercultural dialogue, perhaps with our fellows in different regions. The next slide, please. About the proposed project and initiative, we are looking to working on producing a reference of vocabulary and term related to metropolitan dimension, challenge, identity, and structure. Finding the right term of urban and regional planning in our own native language, and then publish them for the other Arab and Arab scholars, because most of the available resources that we have are in English. Also increase our chapter activities, online events and webinar that represent our city's challenging and trying to find solutions and development plans within it. Next slide. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lama. I'm very grateful for Lama for putting together a successful MetroX event. It was really insightful. And second, again, academia is a key factor here. So would you suggest someone from the Arabia chapter who can be part of the task force or the committee on academic?
I was suggested what was the name? Tariq from Syria. I don't know if he participates with you or not. He is an academic person in a Syrian university.
Sorry, what's his name, Lama?
Tariq Rahmoun.
Tariq.
I can send to you
sure.
his name.
Yeah, maybe you can link us to him, especially Kelvin here. Maybe we can initiate something and then make him part of the course that we'll be developing. Yeah, thank you for that. Any comments, Pedro?
Not this time, no. But we must have an academic member of the course. If we create that course, we must have at least one academic from each chapter, and we need one from Arabia. So Tariq might be one. Yes, let's get in contact with him.
Thank you. Yeah, we'll definitely do that. Thank you, Lama, for that presentation. Let's move forward to the last one, last but not the least. Adodo, are you able to share your screen and start your presentation? So hopefully everyone will stay after this presentation. We'll do a short plenary or synthesis, and we'll have a group sort of invitation video to open the IMF Congress to the public starting on October 16. Adodo, are you able to share your screen?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
So I think one of the key things that while Adodo is sharing her screen, I think really we're beginning to realize or to confirm the importance of academia in terms of one of the opportunities for IMF. And another aspect is the inactivity of fellows. So maybe we can have a discussion on that later on. Yes, Adodo, we can see your screen.
You can see my screen?
Yep.
Okay. Can you hear me, please?
Yes, I can hear you. Are you able to twist your cell phone so that it's a bigger screen?
Pardon me?
I think you're using your cell phone, right?
Yes.
Yes. So are you able to twist it so that we can see the full? I think you need to make it horizontal.
Okay.
Or if you want, maybe you can. You'd like to send us the copy of your presentation, then we can project it.
You can. Okay.
Yeah. If you can send it to me, I'll forward it. Yes,
I have done that. I've done that already.
Where did you send?
Yes.
Where did you send it? In the email?
Yes, in the email.
Okay, let me just. Yes, I'm forwarding it to you right now. Okay, send. Yeah, so we'll project it so that it will be clearer. Yes, are you able to? Did you see it?
Just a minute.
While,
Let me just.
Yeah, it's okay.
Not
so
yet.
while I sent it in your Google. Anyway, while yes is checking it, so thank you everyone for joining this first IMF Congress. Really, what we'd like to accomplish here is figure out how to further strengthen the organization by understanding the context of each of the chapters and how we can work together and plan our next moves in the next 3 to 9 months. As you know, I'll be ending my term in December, but I'll be very active. Still hopefully sustain the initiatives that we've started and form a proper succession plan. Yeah, Adodo, you can start. Yes, is already sharing your screen.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Adudu from Ghana. As Africa, we have challenges. Initially, the presentation should have been by one of my colleagues, but the challenges of Africa, so the internet problem. So I'm taking it up as we work together as a group. Okay. So this is the Sub-Saharan Metropolitan chapter. So slide 2, please.
Yes, can you move forward the next slide?
Yes, slide 2, please.
Thank you.
Yes.
I don't know if,
the next slide. Are you projecting for me or I should do it for my phone, please?
Yes, are we able to share? Move to the next slide.
Okay, so let me see if I can move to the next slide.
Danny, are you able to share the screen if ever?
I'm not able to move to the.
Does Danny have a copy of your presentation? Oh, there. Thanks, Yesa. Are you seeing it, Adola?
Yes, yes, I'm
Okay,
seeing it.
okay, okay.
Yes.
Thank you, Yesa.
It keeps moving. Can we do statically? Yes. Okay. So our our strengths, our story, our multicultural diversification gives the chapter a coloring which projects in our cultures and the environment. We are geographically positioned as economic advantage for the whole of Africa. Our region is resilient and open to opportunities in spite of our increasing youth population. In Africa in general, we have a big youth population. Each member country of the chapter boasts of transforming cities waiting to be harnessed. I always say that Africa is green. Yes, we aligned with almost everything. It's an opportunity for IMF to thrive. Examples include Accra, which is where I am, metropolitan structure, Gulf State administrative units. Addis Ababa, which is part of the chapter, with very strong investment in public transport infrastructure. Lagos, I mean, the most populous city, in Africa. The most populous city in Africa and economic hub for Nigeria, and etc. Can we go to the next slide, please? Yes. Our metropolitan challenges. Our metropolis do not understand strikes. In the case of Addis Ababa, absolute tax as against proposed here by our own very Pedro. Bad governance and usurpation of power make decision makers mostly bad governance and usurpation of power make decision makers, mostly politicians, override project proposal. That's implementation proceeds planning in most development. This is something that I would say it cuts across everywhere. It's in Nigeria, it's in Ghana, same thing. Usually when the decisions are made, last person to sign it off will be a politician, knows nothing out the whole planning policy. But that person, the politician, is the one who will sign the thing off. So this is a problem of Africa. Infrastructure deficit. Total reliance on the provision of infrastructure, both in the public and private sector. Yes. Are you talking to me? Okay. It's hinged on capital edges of sub-Saharan countries. The decline leads to in infrastructure provision, which is manifested in the GDP of each country. Our local make it difficult for us to give room for women to speak. Can we go to the next one? Next slide, please. Metropolitan challenges. Informal sector is twisted. I can't. The slide is twisted. It's okay. Yes. Okay. Informal sector dominates economies, which are often not taxable in the case of Lagos, Nigeria, and also Ghana. We have the same thing running across, and even in South Africa, the same thing. The informal sector is so huge. migration has heavily outstretched existing facilities. Because of the way our cities are set up, that not happens in the rural areas. Everything is in the urban cities. So everybody, when all the youth, everyone, when you leave school or whatever, you have to migrate and come to the cities. So our cities are choked. So we have, housing such strategies, influx of people into the cities. Non-diversification, non-inclusion of youth and women participation in decision making. So these are all part of the challenges that African and sub-Saharan countries will face. Next, please. Metropolitan planning opportunities. Okay, that's professional. Metropolitan planning as a novel discipline has been perceived by a majority of urban planners and designers in sub-Saharan Africa to be an aspect of planning at a larger level than a city or regional scale of development, often within the ambit of urban governance. Professionally, the IMF Sub-Saharan Africa needs to identify dual objectives in each member country at a metropolitan scale, adopt a project as a sub-Saharan project, something like a pilot, because it's a novelty, not known in the sub-Saharan region. So this is part of the things we are thinking of, that we could have a pilot project that we can, the sub-Saharan, we all look at it as our own, our baby, and then we nurture it to life and then showcase it to show the strength and importance of IMF in the next, please. Next slide, please. We look at our metropolis from a different perspective of managing them, not only in terms of GDP, but also promoting environmental justice to make the intimate spaces and public spaces for women by investigating the concept of public spaces in Africa from a metropolitan point of view. And this is very, very, very important. Women approach at a metropolitan scale can focus on how to improve the participation of women in the construction of the linkage of the urban and rural. Child care centers to be considered in planning as women renders essential services to their community. And I always say that one of the things we always overlook is even a place of convenience for women, especially. And what's in Africa, men can easily just, you see, and you can just urinate easily somewhere. Women is so difficult. And when we plan, we don't make provision for this. So these are some of the things that we can really look at when we start the conversation. Next slide, please. Okay. Our proposal, academia. We see the potential that IMF SACS, we plan to fully onboard universities, polytechnics, and other institutions and professional bodies by concretizing the discipline into their curricula. And today we have already heard a lot about this already. So we are also thinking about it. And we've started having conversations with the academia. So it's very possible. IMF SACS needs to practicalize the metropolitan theories and find homegrown solutions. Or we put together different experts in metropolitan region to find homegrown solutions and endeavor to advise multinationals to find a correct way to distribute funding and development assistance. And this is also key when it comes to sub-Saharan, because the challenges here is very different. It's a bit different from what pertains or exists in the developed countries. So we are thinking it will be good to have homegrown so that we practicalize it. We also believe that Metro S series, we can increase the membership and increase the interest in the Metro through the Metro X series. We believe we conduct a major project and conduct the Metro Brain Shop, which we believe will very interesting and will also showcase the strength of IMF. Next slide, please. So in conclusion, the sub-Saharan Africa metropolis, we have a long way to catch up with other emerged developed ones around the globe. This can be bridged by abandoning the post-colonial planning apparatus and embrace workable strategic and structural planning in a holistic approach, taking into consideration all the players involved in peer dialogue and solution. Preserving the software as the people, the accumulation of knowledge, the human risk, the collective intelligence, social resources, and building the hardware, the infrastructure, the roads, the rails, the housing for sustainable sub-Saharan Africa. So in conclusion, we can see that we are really sub-Saharan, we are really lagging, but the resource is there, the human resource is there. So just putting ourselves together and then following the roadmap. So we are happy IMF is here and we have embraced it, and we look forward in please trying to do our bit, bringing changes here and there with the IMF. So this, in summary, the vision, what we are looking at to really adopt and use IMF to improve our sub-Saharan countries. Thank you for making time to listen to me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Adodo, for that presentation. It's really insightful. I think, again, academia is key. And I agree with you, more activities, especially there are a lot of opportunities in Africa. Any comments from the floor? Any comment? Pedro, do you have any comments on this?
Well, not especially, no, but obviously South Sahara, not Sub-Sahara, because Sub-Sahara means that you're under, and you're not under. So you're just south. South Sahara really needs to develop a lot of very specific solutions on metropolitan development, which are completely different from Asia and from Latin America. I have worked in 17 countries in South Sahara, and it really, the problems are very specific and the solutions have to be as well very specific. So good luck, Adodo. You will have all my support, whatever I can do. I will be there, and just network yourself with the other South countries like Latin America, even if the language is not easy, the language gap is not easy, and with Asia and Australasia, no? So all my best wishes and all my support. Thank you, Adodo.
Thank you, Pedro.
Yes.
I think Constant Cap is joining our academic task force, Kelvin, right? And maybe Adodo, very quickly, would you be able to recommend a university or what contact have you started in the chapter in terms of the academe?
Yes, the academia have engaged about 4 people who are really interested. And in fact, today they nearly joined even this, because I had mentioned them, so they're interested in what they are looking to achieve. So I think I can put them in touch with you, and then we can see what we can do with the academia. They are very much interested. So the groundwork has started already. So it's very possible.
Thank you.
That's
Thank you
Ghana.
so much,
Yeah.
Adodo. You know, Pedro, what I'm thinking, since you're planning the headquarters will become later on a metro lab or something, it would be good to, for each of the chapters, to already develop a contextualized course on metropolitan planning, and then we can consolidate it. Kelvin, maybe we can use the Tell Me publication that Antonella provided, sort of that can be the backbone, and then maybe a sort of a framework or a matrix that each of the chapters can follow. I think that's something we can look into and discuss further.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Okay, so thank you. That's the last chapter that was presented, and we've learned a lot, and I think there's so much work to be done. The next step will be opening the Congress to the public starting October 16, 23, and 30, where all of the inputs can also feed into our tactical planning. So what I'd like to do right now, I am screen recording separate from the recording of the whole session. I'd like each one to sort of invite sort of one sentence or up to you, a very brief invitation. I plan to put together a video so that we will be sharing, so that more people will be joining the next Congress, specifically on 16, 23, and 30. Is that okay with everyone? So Pedro, maybe you'd like to start. I'll give the floor to you, and then I'll end it. And then the rest, maybe I'll call each one of you just very briefly, just an invitation to the Congress IMF. Yep.
Mark, I'm a bit lost. I don't know exactly what you want, but I think that we should promote that Congress next week all together. No, so I suggest that you or someone else as the leader put in Facebook, put in LinkedIn, put in whatever media, Twitter, Instagram, whatever messages, and then we all copy, repeat, share, and so on and so on, in such a way that we have a multiplier effect, and instead of just being a comment or a post by one of us, it will become 50, 100, and 1,000. No, I think next week's is a very interesting, and it's open to the public, and we should promote that all together.
Yeah, we can do that. What happened during our recording last time? It was not recorded by Danny. So remember, we were doing a recording for with our global. Yes, Milena, you're raising your hand.
Hi, I can offer to do the link, no, and then we can sorry, to share in live, in Facebook Live or YouTube Live also.
Okay.
So
okay,
so I
that's
can
good.
offer you to provide you the link with Zoom that will allow us to also to share in the social media in real time, no?
Okay, perfect. So yeah, so I think that's a good next step. We'll be turning over the hosting to IMF Latin America and Central Asia, headed by Amir and Milena. So in behalf of IMF Austronesia chapter, thank you everyone for joining us. The first IMF Congress. It was really insightful, learned a lot, and hopefully we see each other again on the 16th. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Keep safe.
Thank you. Thank you.